Cool. Hey, everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. Today is the 20th of November, 2019, and we are staring down the craziness that is Black Friday and all that entails. We're going to some our own version of Black Friday fun, but it's not going to involve buying anything, but we'll get to that in a minute. Real quick, let's say hi to everyone, and then we got that announcements and some other good stuff. So start on my side here. Bradley, what are you up to, man?
Good, man. Happy to be here. It's a week from Thanksgiving, so kind of excited about that. It's one of my favorite holidays.
Amen. Yeah, it's definitely switched. I mean, as a kid, not surprised, Christmas was super fun. Like, yay. Now it's just like, oh, God, I love Thanksgiving so much.
I want the food. Yeah.
Awesome. Hernan, I think you're there somewhere. How's it going, man?
Hey, everybody.
Huh. Oh, hey, Hernan.
From Semantic Mastery. What's up, everybody? So look at this, beauty. Look at this. So this is something that Dedia brought to us on Hopeful Live 2019. It's been awesome. So thank you for that. You know what day it is. So what's up, everybody? So really happy to be here. Excited for what's coming. Excited for the stuff that we have in the pipeline. So overall, excited to be back in Buenos Aires. Excited to be here.
Outstanding. Good stuff. Chris, how about you?
Yeah, doing good as usual. It's a bit rainy here, but other than that, weather is good. Yeah, I'm not excited about Christmas either. Like, not sure what to say.
Well, maybe it just means like what, more snowy conditions so you can go snowboarding?
Yeah, like I'm actually planning to take like a week off right before Christmas and be without internet and relax a bit without electronics.
So what do you do without the internet?
What do you mean?
I'm joking. Like, what are you supposed to do?
There is life outside the internet as well. You don't have to constantly be plugged into the whole thing with a cable.
Sounds
like,
good.
for example, snowboarding, skiing, I don't know. Enjoying it in the spa, or I don't know, like chase some girls. We'll see.
It sounds good. And we always talk about weather before Marco. So Marco, this is the natural lead-in, man. What's the weather like down in Costa Rica?
Life without the internet. Did somebody say that? Heathen? No, man, life's good. We've been having construction. They just got done. They had to redo our master bathroom. That's done. They were jackhammering all day yesterday. It was horrible. I couldn't think. I couldn't go and mess with Bert yesterday, but I've been at it all morning. They say you can't, remember that. You cannot optimize for Bert. That's what Google said. Remember those famous last words. You cannot optimize for Bert. Because I got Bert by the balls. I got that fucker hung up.
You've got Bert's balls.
There you go.
So, maybe I'm out of the loop too. Is there going to be an Ernie update of some sort? Because that would really just be the best thing ever if we had Bert and Ernie. So I don't.
Well, there's already an Elmo.
Ah, damn it.
I can see the next Semantic Mastery training product, Bert by the balls.
Well, actually, I'm already coming up with the Bert Buster. But balls fit somewhere in there.
Oh man. Well, hey everybody. Thanks for being here. If this is your first time watching, this is Semantic Mastery, and we're here to answer your SEO and digital marketing questions and talk about some other stuff as well. So you're in the right place. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you head over to semanticmastery.com/HD questions. That's where you can actually ask your questions. We don't actively monitor the chat for YouTube. So you need to be there. And you can also ask your questions at semanticmastery.com/HD questions ahead of time. And we will answer them. And then you can go back if you need to and check it out on YouTube. After that, the second most asked question we get is, where should I start with Semantic Mastery? And the answer is always, sorry, Hernan's typing some funny stuff. We always tell people, go get the BattlePlan. All right, I'm not going to read it to you, but go check it out. battleplan.semanticmastery.com, repeatable process. Stuff for age domains, new domains, YouTube channels, whatever it is, that's your place to start. And then if you've already got clients and you're wondering what's next, how do I grow? What should I be doing? How do I grow my business? Where's the network of people I can do this with? Then you belong in our mastermind. Head over to mastermind.semanticmastery.com and we will help you grow. And last but not least, if you want to save time and money, we recommend this not only to our members, to our subscribers. It's services we use ourselves. It's mgyb.co. Getting stuff done for yourself, whether it's syndication or getting done for yourself, getting things done so you don't have to. Things like syndication networks, ROS drive stacks, press releases, all that sort of good stuff. We got a couple more announcements. Hernan, I believe there was something like a Facebook post about something that you did today.
Yeah, there was a Facebook post about something. That is correct. So the deal is that our main man Bradley putting together a branding course, and it's going to be on YouTube and the Google Display Network. And why it's important to brand yourself as not only as an agency, but also as an agency owner. We talked a little bit about this in Popul Live 2019.
And
yes,
and the training can be applied to setting up branding campaigns for clients.
Cool.
And it's also for using Google Display Network and YouTube to drive traffic into the SEO assets that we set to kind of help fire up all the SEO work by delivering art, activity, relevance, trust, and authority. So
there you go. So there's a lot of levels to this. And
guess what the bird update is about?
Exactly that.
There you go. All right. So as you can see, there's a lot of levels to this. You can use it to get clients. You can use it to service your clients better, upsell your clients into additional services. You can use it to rank your websites. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I'm mostly, focused on get more clients and get clients paying you more money. So that's what's exciting about the course. Is going to be recorded, and it's going to be recorded live, and it's going to be, for the time being, over the next 2 to 3 days, going to be only $97. Once that's done, it's going to be packaged and resold for $300. So if you want to pay like 30% of the price, you want to get like 70% discount. Do we have a link somewhere that we can push people to, that we can show people where to?
Definitely, it is on the page. Odds are if you're watching the replay, it might not be available at that price, but you can always come to semanticmastery.com/HC questions, head in the comments, and you'll find the link right there.
There you go.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Cool.
And last but not least, I wanted to mention to everyone, I teased it a little bit at the intro to the show. We are, of course, doing something for Black Friday. Keep your eyes peeled for some emails. We really did want to give you guys some good content. We're putting out some previously unreleased training, and it's just going to be, you've got to answer one question. There's no opt-in. We want to make sure that you want to get it, though. All you have to do is watch out for the emails, look out for the Facebook posts, and leading up to actual Black Friday, we're just going to have that content there. We want to help you out. We know there's a lot of, I'll say, stuff going on. There's a lot of extra BS going on, during the weeks leading up to Black Friday. So take a look at this stuff, learn, and then act on that, right? And we're going to have a big Black Friday sale going on afterwards where you can get the additional training if you want it or need it, so that you can act and get results from that. So that's the big thing going on next week. Keep your eyes peeled again for our emails and Facebook posts. It's going to be super, super awesome. With that said, you guys, anything last minute before we dive into questions?
I don't have anything.
All right.
Anybody else?
Let's get to it.
All right, cool. We've got just a few questions so far, so hopefully you guys will come in and post some more, or else we can wrap it up early. I've got plenty of work to do anyways. Let me grab the screen first, if I can find it. Still not 100% comfortable using Zoom yet. All right, you guys should be seeing my screen. By the way, I've just got to point this out. This is really cool because besides it being just a goofy photo that Hernan did, if you take a look in the background of this photo, you can see the backside of Hernan also flicking us off. And it's kind of like a mirror and mirror, because even further in, there's another picture of it. So it's like one of those iframe loops that we do. It's pretty cool. So
it's everywhere.
It's pretty cool, Hernan. Anyways, all right. So to get to the first question, it looks like it came from Greg. Greg's first up. He says, how exactly do you add clickable CTAs to a video on YouTube? So those are call to actions. Sorry for the beginner question, but other than a link in the description, I have no idea. Are there cards or annotations or clickable buttons that can be added to a video? Yeah, that's what cards are for. Also, if you're running ads, you can obviously run it, put clickable links within the ad itself. But if you're just talking about for organic videos, you know, regularly, you know, for videos that people find on YouTube organically or in Google search, then it's going to be using cards. He says, I will be using a video to link to my Amazon store, and I hope to add a couple of links during the middle part of the video. How do I use and do, how do I use and how do I do that? Again, it's just cards. So Greg, just go to Google and search or YouTube and search for how to add YouTube cards, and you'll see plenty of tutorials out there that will show you exactly how to do it. It's easy to do. And you can place cards at very specific parts within the content, within the video itself. So you can, you know, put them at certain intervals or whatever. Keep in mind though, in order to be able to link to an external website, you have to have a site that you can, it's called an associated website. You have to validate that you have ownership of that site, or at least some sort of like webmaster control of that. So I don't think you can link directly to Amazon, but what you could do is link to like an Amazon product review site that you own. It's something, typically the way that you would do it is you would add the site to Search Console within the same Google account as your YouTube account. And if you do that, then you can add your URL, the web page that you want to link out to as an associated website, and then you can link to it, right? So you can do that on a domain level or even on a web page level. So, but again, you have to have webmaster control essentially of the site, whether you're the owner or you have access to it, so that you can link those two accounts. You can't just link externally from a YouTube video to like an Amazon store that I'm aware of, because you have to have access to that site as like a webmaster or ownership of the site, if that makes sense. Does anybody have any other, is there anything to dispute what I just said?
No, I think that's the way it is, because annotations are not a thing anymore.
That's
so
right.
So yeah, cards. So you have n cards and you have n annotations, but yeah, basically that's going to be the, and description links.
There's cards and end screens. You can do it with end screens as well. Cards are, you can kind of space out at certain intervals, or, you know, just put them where you want them to show up. And that's where it'll kind of slide out from the top. There will be that little eye icon for information. And if you click on it, the card will slide out, and you can link to other videos, to playlist, to your channel. You can link to an external website, like I said, as long as you verify it. So, okay, just go to Google or YouTube and search for how do I add external links with cards, and you'll see plenty of tutorials for that.
Yeah.
Jeffrey's up. I'm sorry, did somebody say something?
Yeah, can you hear? Real quick, I just wanted to say on that. Also, those have generally pretty low click-through rates, so I would approach this kind of from a different point of view and not just go into just link to Amazon from there, which might end up actually being a problem. But even if it's not, I would create the videos, potentially, you know, make a bridge page in between, basically, like
Right.
you're, you know, and using some sort of a lead magnet, like even if it's not an actual like a PDF or something like that, but send people to a page to your site for a reason that they want to click through, and then from there, you know, they'll go to Amazon or whatever. I would definitely do it that way instead of trying to send people direct.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if you send people to like a product review page, for example, you know, you could entice them to opt in for something so that you can build an email list from that traffic. But you can also cookie them, right? If you've got remarketing, I mean, you could set up a remarketing list on the video too, by the way. So don't forget about that, Greg. It's really important. Remarketing is super powerful. We're going to be talking about that in the branding course that I'm, you know, starting on Monday. But you can set up a remarketing list through Google Ads for that specific YouTube video. So now you know that anybody watches that video is interested in that product, and you can remarket to them via YouTube. But if you drive them to a product review page first, where you could entice them to get onto an, you know, opt into some sort of list for some freebie or something, now you can email market to them. But even if they don't do that, you can still cookie them and build a remarketing list for Google Display Network ads too, which are incredibly inexpensive. And you can kind of follow them around. Now that you know what product they're interested in, you could actually market to that remarketing list with that same product, as well as similarly related products, if that makes sense, because you know that they've already expressed an interest, or they wouldn't have clicked through to your review page. So there's a lot of things that you can do with that. Why I would recommend not just using the cards and that's it. And, you know, you can get better results is what I'm saying. Okay. It's a good question though. Jeffrey's up. He says, hey guys, I'm publishing a video in 2 weeks using live events, but I want a smaller version of the same content online right away for other traffic reasons. How can I do that? Let's see what needs to be different about the two videos. Well, if you're creating a shorter version of it, then it is going to be different, right? So like what I'm saying is if you already have the video created and you're just going to live stream it in 2 weeks and you want to create a shorter version of it, you know, condense it down, then that's going to be a unique video anyways. Not only that, but the same video live streamed twice is still a unique video, right? Because Google doesn't detect or YouTube doesn't detect. It's when you try to upload the same file twice, right? But if you're live streaming a pre-recorded video, you could live stream that pre-recorded video to the same channel twice. Now, I don't recommend it because if a manual reviewer were to see it, they could consider that spammy and terminate your channel, right? So I don't recommend doing it, but the fact that you're live streaming a pre-recorded video makes the file 100% unique to YouTube, right? So just keep that in mind. But yeah, if you're going to condense the video, like shorten it, edit it, just cut out key parts, make like the Reader's Digest version of it, so to speak, then yeah, you can live stream that or upload that however you want to do it directly to the channel, and then go live stream your pre-recorded video, or just, push a true live stream out at the time in 2 weeks, whenever you want to do it. Okay. And that's all you need to do. Okay, let's see. The next one is, hey guys, I have a potential client that has a GMB profile and website in bilingual language. The main domain automatically directs us to the French version, while if we want to read an English version, I assume he's using a subdomain, for example. Okay, well, that would be a subfolder, the way that you have it shown, but either way, my question is, I want to use your done for you services from MGYB store for the purpose to 3 map pack. Okay, I guess for the purpose of getting into the map pack and local SEO for French and English buying keywords. Can you direct me to which projects you do strongly recommend as first priority? Well, we'll do English, but we won't do French. Correct me if I'm wrong, Marco.
That's correct.
Okay. He says, let's see, I already bought your BattlePlan version 3 and also checked your MGYB store several times, but I'm lost looking at it. I have audited his GMB and around 70% French buying keywords resulting to his map 3MG or GMB 3 map pack in his website on page 1. Okay, cool. So he's doing very well, where the site that you're managing is doing very well in France, but you're also looking to do it in the US, I'm assuming, or in English. Let's see. In 0 results for English buying keywords. I believe your done for you services also offer a white label service as well. Yeah, I mean, we can do the keyword research in English unless you've already got that done. Our deep keyword research will give you so many keywords, it's ridiculous. But if you use those keywords along with several of our other packages, for example, the embed service is great for GMB. So I'm assuming it's the same GMB, but you've just got 2 versions of the site, right? And you'd like the GMB to also rank for English search queries, right? So I'm just making this assumption because it's not clear to me. You don't have a business in the US also. You're trying to rank the same GMB, I'm assuming, in France for both English keywords and French keywords. And so hopefully I'm correct in what I'm assuming here. And if that's the case, then yeah, what I would do is go ahead.
Bradley, that's a she, and she's in Canada.
Okay. So okay, so
in the French-speaking region of Canada, I would say, because the domain that was posted up is a .ca PLD.
Okay, so for that, I would recommend that you would also, like, for example, a drive stack would work really good for that, for the English buying keywords. And having the deep keyword research done would be all the keywords that would be included into the drive stack. And then from there, you could do embeds and backlinks and use the same keywords that were generated in the keyword report as part of the backlink campaign, all of that, so that you can really start to push that relevancy. The other part of it would be, obviously the Google site is part of the drive stack, which would all be done in English. That's going to help to push that English keyword relevancy. What else would you suggest, Marco?
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck on this question because I'm not sure what it is that she's looking to do. So if you're getting 70% of French buying keywords, right, they result in the GMB 3 pack. and 0 results for English keywords, then you're looking for everything in English to push up your English rankings. And if you even just link out to the French, the relevance will carry through from the drive stack and GSite. So you can actually do a 2-for-1. And if you take the time to then translate the drive stack that we give you into French, you can even get more power. Now I'm giving you game, right? Free game during Hump Day Hangouts. So relevance will carry through English to French, French to English, but you can increase the relevance by translating everything that we give you. And that's simple to do once everything is set up. I mean, I would just use Google Translate. I know Hernan and I have done that in the past where we've gone and Google Translate, and I think we managed to rank in Norway for some shit. I don't speak Norwegian, but
Yeah.
it ranked, and I ranked in French, and I don't speak a word of French, but I did. I don't know what I was saying, and I don't know if it was right, but it ranked. So I mean, I don't see why there would be any problem. Just don't order anything in French because we won't do it. Don't buy any keywords in French. We just won't do it. But you can take whatever we give you, and you're free to add translation, which again, it adds relevance. There's some trust and authority also in there. You can do some canonical wizardry with the English and the French, and with alternate languages and a whole bunch of other things that we would only teach you in the mastermind. So I would suggest, if you're really looking to take this to the next level, come join the mastermind.
Great.
I would say, sorry, Bradley, but I would say just to add to what Marcos just said, which makes total sense. I would just say maybe like grab your main content and have that like grab your main content should be aimed to rank and convert, right? Like we did those tests back in the day with Marco. We translated some pages and we ranked them. You know, it was easy. Then it was the fact that we had to switch the content for something that would make more sense, because we wanted people, at the end of the day, we wanted people like buying our stuff. It was an affiliate website, so we wanted people, you know, opting in for the offers. But you can do that, and then when it comes to like blasting your links or blasting your stuff as a tier 2 or after, you know, everything that has to do directly related with your brand, you can go to town with the stuff that it's in MGYB.co, if that makes sense, because it doesn't really matter if you have like backlinks in English pointing to a website in French at that point. So
Cool. KD's up, says, thanks for helping answer my question last week about PR specific schema. I'm still stuck on what URL to enter in the generator. On technicalseo.com, if I select article schema, then leave the URL property field blank, the schema reports a warning when tested. Yeah, you don't want to leave it blank. Says, I'm worried about causing ambiguation in the data, so just don't want to put the wrong info here. I read that for a schema.org thing, like an article, the URL property should always point to the same URL because everything has exactly one preferred or canonical URL. This makes it sound like the URL I enter into the generator should be the URL of the PR itself, which does not yet exist, which is correct, since Press Advantage has not yet published it. So do we publish the PR with schema that contains the warning, or do we enter a different URL into the generator? Thanks. I would just publish with the organization page URL, right? Because that's going to link, it's going to basically be pushing back to the index page, the newsroom, the media room, essentially, that has all of the articles published on Press Advantage in your organization, right? Because you're right, you don't have the URL yet. Now, maybe that's something that we could find out from, we could request from Jeremy, the developer of Press Advantage, is to display when you order a new PR, like when you go to order a new PR, that it could display what the URL is going to be for that press release in the editing phase of it or whatever. Because here's the thing, remember, the URL is determined by the title, right? There's the PR number after pressadvantage.com/ and then it's the actual press release number, I believe, for that order. And then after that, it's the slug from the title that's generated from the title. So maybe, and I don't know that this is possible, but it could certainly be asked, that could be like a preview, or it could be dynamically inserted after the press release has been initially written. Again, I don't know that that's going to happen. In the meantime, you could just link back, unless Marco says that that's wrong, would be to link back to the Press Advantage organization page. What do you think, Marco?
That's what I would do if the URL is not existent at that point. Then you have to point to something else, or you get that error. But I mean, you could always switch that out, can't you? I think that.
Well, no, because once it's published, you can't edit the schema that's added, appended to that particular PR.
Okay, so yeah, so we'll have to talk to Jeremy about this and see what we can do. He's really good about fixing this.
Yes, very much so.
Good, really good.
Very much so. And so here's the news article schema, right? And by the way, besides the plugin that I teased last week, we've got another app potentially coming out soon too that will do all the schema you could ever need. It's incredible. It's really cool. So we'll be talking about that in coming weeks as well. So this is just an interim tool. But if you see this, the URL she's talking about is right here. And by putting in the organization page URL, it's saying the main entity of page. So that's the schema that's just, so let me show you what I mean. If I cut this out of here, it's the news article schema.org. But the moment that you put something in for the URL field, it brings up this main entity of page type, right? So that's why I'm saying it says @type web page and then @ID. Well, the ID can point back to the organization page, right? Because the organization page, and this will break my browser because I've got my embedded my iframe loop. But what does this ID page have on it? It's got pretty much all the entity validation for that organization anyways. Does that make sense? It's got the NAP, the Google Map, embedded website, social media, perhaps an embedded iframe if you've got that. So my point is, I think that should absolutely work, right? What do you think, Marco?
I totally agree.
So there you go. That should help you with that. She says, Brian, actually, let me finish this question and then we'll jump back to Brian's question. She says, just to add quickly, the schema markup generator is also asking for image URL. So far, all the images embedded in my PRs have been hosted by Press Advantage. So I'm not sure how the Press Advantage image URL would get added into the PR schema, either since the hosted image URL does not yet exist and schema code has been submitted to Press Advantage before they publish the PR. I see Press Advantage just released a feature to allow external image URLs to be added. So is that the only way? That's a good question. I would, if you have, I know with the external image, yeah, you could do it that way. So if you have the image hosted somewhere else and you give them the URL for that way, then you could use that same image there. Typically, the way that my blogger does all the press releases for my clients or for my own projects is we publish a blog post first, right? And then we use the press advantage or press releases in to promote a blog post, and that gives us and then we also usually do a GMB post, for example. So we kind of create, like co-citation between a press release or press releases, blog post, which is a deep link, right? A deep internal link from the website, as well as GMB post. And that's what we link to. So the URL of the image can be pulled from the blog post, right? So like the hosted URL image from the blog post, we can use that, for example. So that's typically how we do it. If you're trying to use, you could also pull an image from a Google Maps listing, for example, right? So for example, if you've uploaded a photo, I'm just assuming that if it's for local, let's just put it that way. You could upload a photo to Google Photos for the GMB, right? So in the GMB as a photo, and then you could go pull the share URL from that photo and use that, right? If it's the same image that's going to be in the press release anyways. One word of caution. I don't like, if you're going to provide the image to Press Advantage already hosted, make sure it's sized properly. So in other words, if you've got a big image somewhere that you've uploaded to WordPress or to Google Photos for the GMB, for example, or even just flat out Google Photos, if it's a large image, what happens is, and I know this because I just tested this, the image will come out as large as whatever the original file size is when it gets published as in the press release. So sometimes the image bleeds way outside the actual content body of the press release because it's so big. So just keep in mind that you want to resize those images to, I typically don't like them to be any wider than 600 pixels, maybe 650 pixels, so that it will fit nicely inside the PR and it doesn't get, bleed outside of that. Do you see any problems with that, Marco?
No, I mean, this is another question that has me a little confused because like a PR doesn't sit in a bubble. You're going to syndicate information, because that's how I say you're going to produce news or information about something else. Correct. Something else that should have images, that should have CTAs, that should have video, just whatever, like a post, right? A GMB post. It has a URL. The image will have a URL. Everything has a URL. It has to have a URL. And so if the image URL that you can use is one of those, since it belongs to your entity anyway, it's yours. Google will know that all of these little associations that you can make are what cinch everything. And it's something that I'm testing right now. That it's something really intricate, but it works really well. Once it's set up, then you just push go. I mean, it just does a great job of pushing everything into the 3-pack. And the way that that's done is by creating, you know, as you said, all of this co-occurrence and all of this these co-citations, you know, and these naked URLs and just URLs in text without even getting linked in. I mean, those all count, believe it or not. And again, if it's from a post, then that post image has a URL. Yeah. And if it's from a GMB, then that image should have a URL, or it should be uploaded to Google so that you get the Google URL in there, or the Google Photos URL, whatever. Facebook, if you have an image in Facebook, you could use that because it's yours. Anything and everything that you can do to promote your brand is what you should be doing.
Right. And that's what, so this is why I wanted to demonstrate this. So that's the image URL here. Now, if you take a look, this is the published press advantage, or excuse me, press release that has, I used the self-hosted image, right? So in other words, I provided a image URL for the press advantage to use. Now here it looks fine, but when it's republished on some of the other sites that, you know, some of the other media sites, it's a big image that bleeds over, and it might not be this press release, might be one of the other ones, but it bleeds way outside of the actual, you know, text area. So that's why I recommend that you resize it. But if you take a look, if I right click on this and say copy image address, this is the image address right here. If you take a look, I know it's probably small, but that's my alphalandrealty.sales site, which is the site that I use for selling the properties that I have for sale. So this is a self-hosted image on my selling site that I provided that URL to Press Advantage to embed into the press release. Does that make sense? So I didn't upload this image to Press Advantage. I provided them with the already hosted image URL, which then they inserted into the press release. So that right there is the same URL that I could add right here if I was going to be promoting that particular press release, excuse me, writing the news article schema for that particular press release. Does that make sense? So, and again, I like doing that because if now that image URL, once again, it's referencing another one of our entity assets. If that makes sense. So that's how you resolve those. Brian P, it is Brian Prins. Okay, awesome. What's up, Brian? He says, how many articles a week should you put to your post to your GMB? Well, it depends. I think more equals better, but it really depends on, you know, what the competition's doing. It also depends on the industry. I can only say that more equals better. So, you know, for a lot of clients, we're posting daily. Some clients we're posting twice daily. Some clients we're only posting 2 or 3 times per week. It just depends. You know, if nobody else in the industry and competitors are posting, but or they're posting very, very rarely, so infrequently, which is what you'll notice, unless somebody is running. A lot of times you'll see, especially in the contracting industries, you'll see that they'll post, but it'll only be, you know, haphazardly. It's not a consistent schedule. So as long as you are posting regularly, a lot of the times that's all it will take to get better results. But I think more equals better. What say any of you?
I say you should post as many times as it takes. Yeah. Whether if it takes once a week, then and that's all you need to rank it, then I mean that's fine. But again, as Bradley said, keep that consistency. If it takes 5 posts a day, then that's what it takes. And then so you'll be needing 25 posts, or excuse me, 35 posts per week, or I don't know, 25 to 35 posts per week. as Bradley said, it depends on a per niche basis what the competition is doing, and what Google wants, to be fed.
Yeah. So his next question is, how long should it be? Well, they only hold 1,500 characters. So if the article, the GMB posts themselves, how many words should these posts be? It's not, I don't care about how many words they are. I mean, you can have up to 1,500 characters in a GMB post. So that's the limit. So typically what we do is we have, it depends, but if we're publishing a GMB post that's talking about a blog post, which is what we do a lot, we'll just grab the first paragraph or a relevant paragraph from the blog post itself and use that in the GMB post. But we always include a call to action, a primary keyword that we're trying to target, a location modifier of some sort, and a call to action, which allows us to squeeze name, address, or phone number. Usually it's not the address, because most of the clients I do, I service or service area businesses. So it's usually the name or the phone number. And then we always link back to either a previous post. If it's a siloed GMB post, we link to the previous GMB post URL, or and then with the button, we link to either the blog post, if that's what we're actually pointing to or referencing, or we'll link to one of the entity assets. And what I do with my VAs is they'll have, my bloggers will just have on the spreadsheet, the client spreadsheet, there will be a target URLs list, which will have all of the top tier or tier 1 branded entity assets that we want to link to, and they'll cycle through it. So in other words, for example, if we've got a client that we're posting Monday through Friday once per day, then that client might only be getting one blog post per week. So one of those GMB posts for the week will actually link back directly to that blog post, and it will have a paragraph or so pulled out of that along with the call to action and such. But then the rest of the posts during the week, my VAs are really good, because they've just, they've been doing it for so long, of just finding something to write about from the website, and then just kind of rewording it and turning it into a call to action of some sort. And then linking back to, like I said, with the button URL, back to one of those branded entity assets. And they just kind of cycle through them. Top level citations, media room type pages, the drive stack, specifically the G site, really, the GMB map URL, the GMB website, money site, inner pages of the money site, all of those, they just get linked to in kind of a rotation, so that there's constantly links going from GMB back to branded entity assets. And that kind of helps to just reinforce that whole footprint, if that makes sense. Okay. Austin Dawn says, with Stacks drive folders, let's say I have one for service Round Rock. Okay. Would it be all right to copy that drive folder and use for other cities, service, whateverville, and just change the city modifier on the content, or should new content be used? For drive stacks, you can just change the city modifiers, but also make sure you're changing the target URLs that you're linking from or linking to from within those files, right? Marco, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, there's some editing that needs to be done. You can't just change that and then think that it's all over. No, there's some files in there that have some heavy links that have to go in and have to be modified.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You want to change your target URL. So the best idea would be to have a page or a post on your money site that is optimized for that particular location, for that service and location, or services and location, and then change when you clone the folder and files for that, for that business or that project, then you change all the keywords, the location modifiers, out to whatever new location you want. Make sure that you're editing those target URLs too from within the files to point to that location specific page or post. Does that make sense? So Brian says, using only one keyword per post, or should you try to get 2 keywords in it? Well, I always have my bloggers are trained to target one primary keyword, but there's usually variations that get worked into it anyways. Does that make sense? Remember, if you've got things siloed correctly, you're going to have related keywords anyways, from within the silo on the website, or from the GMB post, because we silo those together, or both, right? So it usually there's a primary keyword that we're trying to target with each post, but there's obviously going to be variants, so closely related or LSI type keywords that are also in part of it. It's just because it's natural, and we don't write for SEO anymore, right? I mean, we still try to target one keyword or so as a primary keyword, but my writers aren't trained to write for SEO really. They're just trained they know what to link properly, but we don't have to write for SEO so much anymore because of structured data and because the Google's algorithm just understands natural language patterns so much more. So what would you suggest, Marco?
Yeah, this is where siloing and the way that we do our posts comes in really handy, right? Because you'll have a set of keywords that you're targeting, which are actually trying to push up the top level category, which Jeffrey teaches in his SEO bootcamp. So our ultimate goal is to push up or work from the top for that top level category. And that's the main keyword. So any keywords that are relevant to that main category and any LSI or any other keywords that Google deems relevant need to be worked in there somehow, as long as you're also thinking about the person that's trying to read that post and you're trying to convert the person that's reading the post, because that's the ultimate goal. If you can get a person to click on it, the likelihood of them becoming a client or ending up paying either your client or you is really high, because these are hot. These people are hot. They're hot buyers. They're calling you for a reason. They're filling out that form for a reason. They're visiting your website for a reason. So that's hot. And you need to keep that person hot. You don't want them to go to whatever it is where you have them click and cool off. So they have to be worked in so that you're talking to that pain and you're solving whatever that pain is. You have to work that in. So they find a solution to whatever problem it is that they had that made them go look for you or your niche in the first place.
So because we don't have a lot of questions left, we'll wrap it up a few minutes early, guys, unless you post some questions. I'll give you a chance.
There's another question in there.
Okay. I was going to share some other stuff, but
I just want to say real quick, Riley, that we should put together a short link. If you guys want to get access to the branding course that Bradley's going to be putting together, it's semanticmastery.com/branding. So that is semanticmastery.com/branding, and you will be able to access that course for only $97 instead of $300, which is going to be the final price for it. So semanticmastery.com/branding. We should put that together. So.
Boom. Okay. Austin says, how often should we order link packages to the Drive Stacks gsites? Well, that's up to you. As often as you need. I recommend that you alternate between embeds and link building packages. And remember, when you buy embeds, you can also buy as an upsell link building packages, or is like a second tier where link building to the actual embeds. That's very powerful too. I like to do things in cycles or stages. So maybe I'll have link building package done to my entity assets, my SEO shield, so to speak, 1 month. And then the next month it'll be an embed gig. And then the next month it'll be, another link building package to syndication network, for example, or something like that. It's just a way to stagger it out. So I just kind of work that stuff into my monthly retainer for clients, so that I know that that's going to be stuff that's ongoing. It gets done on a monthly basis. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same targets every month. You can kind of just cycle through that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
don't hit the home page every month, right? With a million links. That's not going to help. Right. So if you drip them out like during the month, which Daddy is really good at drip feeding everything, dripping everything out the way that you should, so it looks more natural. And every month, as Bradley said, you choose a different target, so that you're also targeting your tier 1 branded directly, instead of just through the Drive Stack and gSite. All of that put together, your posts, we've shared during Hump Day Hangouts, I don't know how many different URL targets that you can use for your link building campaign, and it all filters through to the same place, which is sure. Again, and you're gonna get sick of me saying this, but the entity, it all filters out to what it is that you're trying to build, which is that the final piece of the puzzle, which is that entity where it really, really matters.
Yeah, and that's why I was getting ready to show, when I talked about for GMB posts, for example, my bloggers have a list of target URLs that they just kind of cycle through, that they include in the button links. Now, like I said, if it's a GMB post that is specifically promoting a blog post on the site, then on from the money site, then that GMB post URL or a button URL ends up pointing back to that specific blog post. But for most of the general posts, then we'll link back to just one of the branded asset, the entity assets, right? So that would be a tier 1 asset. So which one should you link to? Well, all of them, but if you want us to link to just the ones that are deemed the most powerful or the most relevant for the brand, it's very simple. Just go do a brand search. If it's for a company like a local business that has a name that is ambiguated, right? So a name that is maybe coming up like I know a lot of local contractors, for example, will have names that are very generic, like whatever service plus city or city, whatever service. So that's very difficult to create a brand around that. Now it is. So one of the ways that you can get, and I've showed this before, and maybe I'll show it with, we'll do two examples real quick. Alpha Land Realty has got a strong brand now. Because I've been working on the entity for this for quite some time without doing a lot of SEO work. It's just been mainly entity work. And you can take a look. This is my real estate business. You can see that if I just do search for Alpha Land Realty, all of the entire first page is taken up by all of my entity assets of mine, right? Or press releases that mention the brand. But something, by the way, that just popped up recently, I thought this was very, very powerful. This is really cool. This is Apollo.io, which is like a kind of like a sales contacting prospecting type service. I know because I just saw this pop up yesterday in brand search, and I went and signed up for it because I thought I could go in and edit this profile, and you can't. This was automatically generated by Apollo.io, but it's very powerful because it popped right up on page 1, like out of the blue. I've never even heard of it. And so I did sign up for it to try to see if I could edit this stuff. But what it did was it pulled in all of these entity assets. I didn't create this page, by the way. Like that's what I'm saying. This just out of the blue popped up, and it's got my website URL. It's got my name. It's got description that it's pulled from somewhere. It's got my Facebook page, Twitter, LinkedIn page, and it's even got an Alexa.com site info page. So somehow Apollo.io is tied into Alexa, which I believe is an Amazon company, but it also pulls from Crunchbase, which I think is also where it got some of this information. So by the way, that's one of the ones I want to point out. Crunchbase.com, guys, is super, super powerful. It's an entity database, right? Or a semantic database. So you can go in and set up a Crunchbase profile and put in set up an organization and add a ton of information to it. And it's very, very powerful. So I would highly recommend that you set up Crunchbase. But from here, I could just go through and start pulling out from the top 2 or 3 pages, all the URLs that are branded entity assets, right? So, and put those into a target URL list that you would want to cycle through from GMB posts. You can use that for deep links for other stuff, guys. You can link to them from press releases. You can link to them from blog posts, all of that kind of stuff, right? So you can just go through here. And for example, like here's my Tumblr page, for whatever reason, is so powerful. This is from my syndication network. It keeps showing up on page 1 and has been for months, even though I really don't even publish to it. If we go back to page 2, we'll see that we've got, USA Today. That's a press release. Twitter's popping up, even though I don't really tweet. Another one is, let's see, Crunchbase. I was just talking about this one. And this is actually, check this out. This is the Crunchbase. You can add press releases to your Crunchbase company profile. And so if you take a look, this is just referencing Alpha Land Realty launches website for Virginia property owners. It's a press advantage. That's a press advantage URL right there, right? So you can actually add press releases to Crunchbase, which is very, very powerful. And in that Crunchbase URL will index and rank, even though it's pushing to, it's crazy. All it's doing is linking to a press release, but that Crunchbase URL will rank. Take a look at this Pocket. This hasn't been posted to since it was set up. It's just a Pocket profile, but it's still ranking, right? It's ranking on the top 2 pages as another one of my entity assets. So all of these things can just go into an actual target URL list. Does that make sense? And these are all things that could also be linked. You could, for the question that was just asked about how often should you order link building packages, all of these can become target URLs. Something else we've talked about is, let's just do a quick search. We'll do, let's do something I'm not in, a city I'm not in. Let's say tree service, Richmond, VA. We'll use this as an example. All right, so we'll come down here and we'll look at, let's see, true. I want to see a good Davie in Richmond, Virginia. That's a good one there. Let's take a look at that. It's also, it looks like it's showing up here in maps. So we'll click through for maps, and we also kind of want to, well, hold on, let me back up for a minute. I also want to click through to Yelp, and I want to show you guys something. We've talked about this in the past, but I'll point this out again. All right, so if we're looking at, let's actually grab the name. Let's do this. Back up for a minute. We might have been able to do it from there. Hold on a minute. Let's try that real quick. We click through to here to photos. Okay, yeah, we can. Okay, so remember, you can also, for your link building projects, you can also grab, obviously we're going to grab the map URL. Remember not to use the share map URL, by the way, guys. Let me back up for one more minute, and well, actually we'll just go, we'll do this. I want to give you guys a couple things real quick. So we'll go to, all right. So a couple things here. There is a great website. It's real simple and easy to use. We'll go to Google My Business. It's called gmb.reviewsmaker.com. I've talked about this in the past. Go to this page right here. Click Decode Place ID. Go grab the long, ugly maps URL for an entity, for a brand, right? It's a verified Google My Business. It has a verified Google My Business, excuse me. Click through to the actual, whoops, that was photos. Let me back up for a minute. It's not showing the map. Here we go. Click through to the actual map URL. Let's see if we can do that. And it's not giving me the map URL that I wanted, but all you got to do is grab the long map URL, guys, the big ugly one, for when you do a brand search and you click through from the knowledge panel on the little map icon, click through and then copy that big long ugly URL. And you'll paste it into there, and it'll decode it and give you a maps URL that is the best URL to use. It still needs to be edited slightly. I'll show you the right way to do it. Let's see. We'll click through. We'll just use Alpha Land Realty as an example. So you see how I click through to the actual map, and this big long ugly URL right here. Copy that. Go over to the GMB gmb.reviewsmaker.com. Click Decode Place ID. Paste this in here. Click the Decode Place ID button. We'll take a second, then scroll down, and right here where it says your maps URL, you want to copy that link address. We'll put this in a notepad file, and then what you want to do is change that URL from this where it says maps is the subdomain, change that to www, so www.google.com, and then put maps after the first / before the question mark. All right, now that right there is the best URL to build links to for your maps listing, because it's not a redirect, it's a straight URL. Okay, so that's a really good URL to use. However, here are some other things that you can link build to. So we know that Davie Tree Service is one of the Richmond Tree Service Richmond VA, whatever, that was the keyword I searched. Well, if we click through to the maps listing, like what you see here, look at all these different photos. All these photos have different URLs, guys. If we click, every photo is going to give you a different URL. So each one of those could also be used as additional link targets, right? You could actually put those through one of your own shorteners, or use a shortener that's a 301 redirect, so that you could pretty them up. And then you could create a target URL list of all the different images within the Google My Business profile. Does that make sense? Something else you could do is you could click on the actual reviews. So these reviews share, if you can click through from the actual brand. So let's go back to here for a minute. Let's just pick another one, because that one's not, it's got multiple locations and it's hard to pull up one specific one. We pull up, let's say Ridgeline Tree Service. Let's try that one. And then I know we got to wrap it up in just a minute, guys. Okay, so you see how Ridgeline Tree Service popped up? So if we click through to the map icon, this is going to take us to this specific maps listing. Okay, then from here, right here where it says reviews, the 11 reviews on this case, I could click on that. That's a unique URL, right? So you can add that to your target URL list. Also, each one of these individual reviews, take a look at it. It has a share URL. You can click on that and use that share URL. However, if you take a look at that URL, it's a redirect, but I don't care. I'll still build links to it. Does that make sense? So my point is you can grab each one of these individual share URLs and link to those also. Does that make sense? So each one of the photos can have its own URL. We talked about doing it with Yelp. If we were to find, let's see if we can find Ridgeline, or we were just talking about Davey Tree Expert Company. So let's go into there. If we click into there, we've talked about this in the past, guys. Yelp, grab that URL, put that in your list, click into photos. Each one of these photos now has a different URL. Grab all those photos, put those in. Those are all Yelp targets now. You can close out of that. You can also go down if they have reviews, and you can link to the reviews. See how it says share review? So you can actually grab that URL and put that review share URL into your target list. One more thing, click right click view page source and scroll down. All of a sudden, look at this, guys. These are all language canonicals, essentially. See how it says link rel equals canonical, and all of these other URLs are for the Yelp on all the different language versions of the Yelp site that all canonicalize to this primary English version, right? Which is the US version. And each one of those URLs can go into a target list. So there's no shortage of links that you can add to link building campaigns, as long as they're not direct to your money site, is what we suggest. You want to comment on that at all, Marco?
No, that was perfect.
Okay, cool. All right, we've got about 3 minutes. I think we just got a couple more that popped up. So Katie says, thanks for the PR schema reply. I have something else I'm thinking about. I'm publishing press releases about each blog post and want to incorporate video into the mix now that Press Advantage offers video embeds. Using the content of articles and press releases, I create a YouTube video of each post and PR. From the videos created using my blog content, I created a YouTube playlist that mirrors my blog silo. There you go, Katie. Now you're getting it. And embedded these into the corresponding blog posts from the videos created. By the way, why not embed the playlist, right? Embed the playlist into each blog post within the same silo. So the playlist is a silo, and you've got a silo on your blog. And now you can embed the actual playlist with the specific video that matches up or corresponds with that particular blog post as the top video in the playlist. Does that make sense? So instead of just embedding the specific video, you can embed the whole playlist. So now you've got a playlist, a silo embedded in a silo. Does that make sense? It's very, very powerful to do that. So you're on to something there. Very good. She says, from the videos created using my PR content, I created a second YouTube playlist that mirrors my PR stack. Katie must have been following Semantic Mastery for a minute. Which video is best to embed in the press release? The video from the blog post or the video about the press release itself that promotes the blog post, or does it matter? It really shouldn't matter. In fact, it's probably a little bit of overkill to have two separate YouTube playlists. You know, you could though. I just honestly, I think that's probably a little bit more work than you need, because you could probably accomplish everything within one siloed playlist that's mirroring the same keywords that you're targeting in both the blog post and the PRs. If that makes sense. So you could reduce your workload a little bit, I think, by just having one playlist that's mirroring the same keywords that are mirrored from your blog post to your PRs, if that makes sense. And then I would, for the press releases, I would take I don't think you can embed a playlist, but I know you can have the individual, video URL for that specific, that corresponds with that PR plus post. Embed that into the press release, but I would use the playlist embed code with the hack to where you can change the video ID to the video ID of that corresponds with that post to be the top video in the playlist. And I would use the video and the playlist embed code in the blog post itself, so that now you have a silo embedded in a silo, if that makes sense. It's pretty powerful stuff. So last question, and I got to wrap it up. I just created another brand new lead gen site. Does the BattlePlan give me steps to optimize the SM way? Of course it does, Nathan. That's exactly what it was created for.
Yeah, but it's no different. New,
yeah, it is no different.
No, the steps are the same. It's a couple of things might be different, but the steps that you need to take are practically the same. By the way, before we go, I'll be starting my charity webinar series the first week of December probably, and I can't remember when you have your webinar. The next one. Do we have another one? Do we have another webinar coming up?
Yeah, we've got Monday for the start of the branding course, which will be about YouTube ads, and then December 9th, Monday, December 9th is the display ads, Google display ads.
So Monday the 25th? Or
Yes.
December, okay, so.
Monday the 25th, and then Monday the 9th, December 9th.
Right. Okay, so I'll be starting mine Monday, December 2nd, guys. Everything about BERT, entities, everything you want to know to rank into 2020 and well beyond. I told you in 2014, 2015 what was going on and where this was going, and here we are. This is 2015. You should have been there. If you're not, then come to these webinars, because I'll tell you from 2020, 2025 and beyond what's happening and what you need to do. And all it's gonna take is a donation to the charity. All the money goes to kids who need an education, so it's for a good cause. That's why I'm giving you raw business. It's what's going to happen and why.
There you go. All right, thanks for everybody being here. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys, semanticmastery.com/branding. Don't forget to do that.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.